Why did my daughter's teacher suddenly stop returning my calls? My daughter Beth was in 3rd grade when her teacher, Mrs. Holland, just stopped responding to me. No emails back, no returned voicemails, nothing. At first, I figured she was just busy. Teachers have a million things going on, but after 2 weeks of silence, I started getting worried. Beth had been struggling with reading all year. She'd come home frustrated, saying the words didn't make sense. I'd been emailing Mrs. Holland every few days asking for updates. Is Beth improving? Should we get a tutor? What can I do to help? Mrs. Holland always responded within 24 hours. She was so helpful and supportive. She'd send these detailed paragraphs about Beth's progress and suggestions for practice at home. Then suddenly, complete radio silence. I called the school office 3 times. The secretary said Mrs. Holland was still teaching and hadn't been absent, but she wouldn't tell me anything else. I'm sure she's just backed up with emails. Teachers get hundreds of messages. But I knew something was wrong. Mrs. Holland had been so responsive before. I started getting paranoid. Did I say something wrong in my last email? Was I being too pushy about the reading help? Did Beth do something at school that I didn't know about? I emailed the principal. No response for 5 days. I left 3 voicemails. Nothing. It was like I'd been blocked by the entire school staff. Beth kept going to class every day like normal. When I'd ask her about Mrs. Holland, she'd just shrug and say everything was fine. Does Mrs. Holland seem okay? Is she acting different? Mom, she's fine. Stop worrying. But I couldn't stop. 3 weeks passed. I was losing my mind with worry. Finally, I decided to just show up at school during pickup time and wait for Mrs. Holland in the hallway. I needed answers. When I saw her walking a line of kids to the bus, I waved and called her name. She looked right at me, made eye contact, then quickly turned and walked the other direction. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong. She was actively avoiding me. I marched into the principal's office and refused to leave until someone explained what was happening. The secretary tried to get me to schedule an appointment, but I sat down in the waiting area and said I'd wait all day if I had to. After an hour, the principal finally came out. Mr. Foster was this tall guy in his 50s who always seemed stressed out. Mrs. Patterson, please come into my office. He closed the door and sat down behind his desk. He pulled out a thick folder and handed it to me. Inside were copies of all my emails to Mrs. Holland. Every single one was highlighted in yellow. Some had handwritten notes in the margins. Do you see anything unusual about these? He asked quietly. I read through them. They were just normal parent emails asking about Beth's progress. Nothing weird or inappropriate. I don't understand. What did I do wrong? Mr. Foster sighed and rubbed his face. Mrs. Holland has been diagnosed with early onset dementia. She's only 41 years old. My heart stopped. I literally felt it skip a beat. She was responding to your emails multiple times, sometimes 5 or 6 times in one night, saying the exact same thing over and over. We didn't catch it at first because the responses seemed normal. He pulled out another folder. This one was even thicker. Inside were dozens of printed emails from Mrs. Holland to me, all sent between midnight and 4 a.m., all saying the exact same thing. Beth is doing great. No concerns at all. Keep up the good work at home. The same message, sent 63 times over 2 weeks. We've been trying to figure out how to tell the parents, Mr. Foster continued. Mrs. Holland doesn't remember sending these emails. She doesn't remember a lot of things lately. He explained that the school had been documenting everything for the past month. Her symptoms were getting worse fast. She'd forget students' names mid-sentence, teach the same math lesson twice in one day, leave her car running in the parking lot with the door open. We had to stop her from communicating with parents until we could get her medical leave sorted out. She was sending confused messages at all hours, calling parents by the wrong names. We couldn't risk it anymore. I sat there holding this folder full of identical emails and felt terrible. I'd been so angry at her for ignoring me. I'd complained to other parents about her being unprofessional, and she was literally losing her memory. Is Beth okay? Has this affected her class? Mr. Foster smiled for the first time. The kids have been amazing, actually. They help remind her of things. Beth specifically started reading out loud to Mrs. Holland during afternoon breaks because it helps her stay focused on the present. That's why Beth never mentioned anything was wrong. She was protecting her teacher. The students have been more mature about this than most of the adults, Mr. Foster added. They just adapt and help out without making a big deal of it. Mrs. Holland retired on medical leave 2 weeks later. The class threw her a goodbye party. Beth made her a handmade card that said, "Thank you for teaching me to be patient and kind." I still have it on my fridge. Mrs. Holland moved to a memory care facility last year. Beth and I visit her once a month with flowers. She doesn't remember teaching anymore, doesn't remember Beth's name, but she always smiles when she sees us walk in. "You have such a sweet daughter," she tells me every single visit. I know, I always say. She learned from the best teacher.